How will Syracuse football do with its non-conference schedule? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are always free and available wherever you get your podcasts, whether you're watching this on YouTube or your favorite audio platform, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And on this week's Poll Friday, I asked you all a very simple question. What do you think Syracuse football's non-conference record will be in 2025? The 4 games that Syracuse will play outside of the ACC are as follows. On August 31st, that is week 1 of the college football season, they go to Atlanta, Georgia, so it's a neutral site game against the Tennessee Volunteers, who are in the college football playoff a year ago. So that's going to be quite the start for Syracuse football. After that, they go home for their first home game of the season on September 6th, and they play the UConn Huskies, a team that they beat by a touchdown a year ago, although that score is a little bit misleading because Syracuse really dominated that game from start to finish. UConn got a late touchdown, but that was just to make the score look prettier. That game wasn't particularly close last season. Then you got Colgate on September 12th. That is a home game. And towards the end of the season, I believe it's actually the second last game of the regular season, they travel to Notre Dame on November 22nd. Now, for some more context, Syracuse football in 2024, obviously that year they went 9-3 in the regular season. They went 4-0 outside of the ACC. They beat Ohio. That was week 1. They beat Holy Cross. They went to UNLV and they won that one in overtime. And they also beat UConn, like I mentioned 30 seconds ago. The results are in for this week's Poll Friday. What did you guys have to say? Let's talk about it, all right? There were over 250 votes on this week's Poll Friday. And in first place, the winner was not a majority, but it was the winner, was 3-1 at 40% of the vote, followed by 2-2 at 32%. In third place was 4-0. 25% of you all believe it's going to be 4-0. I mean, my goodness, that would be amazing. For what it's worth, if Syracuse goes 4-0, they're going to be in the college football playoff, and they might be one of those teams that could win the national championship. I mean, it's not an easy non-conference schedule. It's got Notre Dame and Tennessee on it. So if Syracuse goes 4-0, that means they are one of the best teams in the nation for 2025. I'll take it. And in fourth place, you got 1-3 or 0-4. 3% of you guys voted that way. Now, before I really give you my thoughts on this, okay, I'm going to rule out some possibilities here. Syracuse is not going to go 0-4, barring an absolute disaster. Okay, they got Colgate. That's an FCS opponent. That's your slam dunk free win. I don't think Syracuse football has ever lost to an FCS opponent. Knock on wood. Okay, that's your free win. They're also most likely not going to go 4-0, which we'll talk more about in the next segment because you got Tennessee at Notre Dame. The odds that Syracuse wins both of those games, let alone even one of those games, is pretty low. Okay, so they're not going to go 0-4. They're probably not going to go 4-0, which means that their range is between 3-1 and 1-3, and Syracuse should beat UConn. Last year, Syracuse dominated UConn, even though, again, the score doesn't necessarily say that. They dominated UConn. That was UConn's best team since 2007. Now, I'm not saying it's a free win like Colgate, because if Syracuse isn't careful, you could get upset by a team like UConn. But for all intents and purposes, Syracuse should be able to beat UConn no problem. So that means you got to win over UConn. You got to win over Colgate. So in all likelihood, Syracuse is going either 2-2 or 3-1 outside of the ACC this upcoming season. And now I'll give you my prediction, and we'll talk more about it in the next segment here. I think Syracuse football is going to go 2-2. That's what I am picking right now for the Orange, which would mean they would have to go 4-4 in the ACC to make a bowl. Comment your thoughts in the comments section below. For now, I am picking Syracuse to go 2-2 in its non-conference slate this upcoming season. But I'd love to hear from you and tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why Syracuse is going 3-1. Tell me why Syracuse is going 4-0. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Coming up, I'll tell you why I believe Syracuse is going to go 2-2. Let's sum it up next on Locked On Syracuse. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. And I know I've been there before. I know I've been sitting at home, whether it was back when I was a kid in Florida or now in New York, and I want to go to a baseball game and I'm free that night. I call up some buddies and we try to get some tickets, right? We've all kind of been there. I certainly have. And that's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food. Like if you're going to a New York Mets game, you could splurge on Shake Shack in Citi Field, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. On this week's Poll Friday, I asked you all the question, what do you think Syracuse's non-conference record will be in the 2025 college football season? You all voted, and about 40% of you all, which won the vote, said that Syracuse would go 3-1. And I believe that is a fair goal for Syracuse this upcoming season. Now, do I think that they're going to hit 3-1? No. As of right now, I am picking Syracuse to go 2-2. But like I said in the previous segment, I could see 2-2. I could see 3-1. I think it's very unlikely Syracuse goes 4-0. I also think it's unlikely Syracuse goes 1-3 or 0-4, which would mean that Syracuse, all they have to do is go 4-4 or 3-5 in the ACC to make a bowl, right? I think their wins are fairly obvious. I think they beat Colgate. They should be able to beat UConn, and their losses would be Tennessee and Notre Dame. Here's the deal with Tennessee. The way I feel about Tennessee in week 1, and we will have plenty of time to talk more about it as we get closer to the season here. We're about 2 months away. I kind of feel the same way I did about Miami at home a year ago. If you recall on this podcast, I did not pick Syracuse to beat Miami, but what I said for a while was I'm not counting out Syracuse. I do think they can beat Miami, but I'm just not going to pick them. It's the same way with Tennessee. Tennessee lost a lot of pieces. They did not necessarily have a great offseason. They have a brand new quarterback, just like Syracuse is going to have a brand new quarterback. But at the end of the day, I think they just have better athletes. They have better talent. They're going to be a double-digit favorite. It's a neutral site game, but it's in Atlanta. I think that favors Tennessee a little bit more. So as of right now, I'm picking Tennessee. That doesn't mean my mind can't change over the next 2 months. But as of right now, I'm picking Tennessee. I can't give you a score prediction just yet. And then you got Notre Dame. Notre Dame was in the national championship last season. They lost to Ohio State. I think Notre Dame could actually win the national championship this time around. That's how good this team is, at least on paper. And by the way, when Syracuse goes to South Bend, Indiana, it's going to be November 22nd. It's going to be freezing. Notre Dame is elite on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They got an elite running game. I don't think it bodes well for Syracuse football. I'll be quite honest with you. I just don't see it. I think Notre Dame could legitimately go 11-1, 12-0, and win the national title. That's how I feel about them. They are a very strong team. It's less about Syracuse and more so that Notre Dame might be the best team in the nation in 2025. Now, should be noted that I actually talked about this with Kenton Gibbs over on Locked On ACC when we were talking about NC State football season, that Notre Dame, sometimes they have a stinker or two in the regular season. Last year, they lost to Northern Illinois at home. Remember that? They lost to Northern Illinois at home. They never should have lost to Northern Illinois, but they did. So maybe if you're Syracuse, the way to beat Notre Dame is to just either they're incredible Syracuse, which we'd certainly take, or you catch Notre Dame on a really, really off day. Could happen. But I'm not predicting that. And so overall, I think Syracuse goes 2-2 out of conference, which would not be terrible. It's definitely not the worst case scenario, but it does mean that they would have to go 500 or better to make a bowl for this upcoming season. Again, tell me why I'm wrong in the comment section below. Please. I want to be optimistic, but I also want to be realistic at the same time with Syracuse in 2025. So let me know right now why you think Syracuse will do better than 2-2 in the comments section below. As far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future, unless there's big breaking news over the weekend, we will probably not have a podcast over the weekend. Well, good news. We will be back on Monday with a full podcast, whether we're talking about some Syracuse recruiting or we're doing some position previews, some schedule previews. That's all coming up in the near future with Locked On Syracuse. And thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. Now, for your second listen, you can check out the Locked On Portal Show with football recruiting expert Brian Smith, who's got the latest rumors and signings each and every day. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal Podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, if you just do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button because it helps the channel grow to reach all Syracuse Orange fans. And of course, shout out to all of you who continue to like and subscribe to Locked On Syracuse each and every day. You all are truly the best, and I will see you all again soon.